Sweet boys, how's it going?
Good, man.
Good, man.
Yeah,
Another convention, another conference.
Another conference. And we're at Philly at SAEM, enjoying the Philly vibe, cheesesteaks.
Haven't had one yet.
We'll probably do that tonight, maybe or tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day. But yeah, guys, we just been in the game for a while, doing locums. You've been doing it for longer than anybody else, right?
Scary, yeah.
And Julius, you're newer to the game.
6 months, man. The new kid on the block. The new gun in town.
Right. It's been an interesting kind of experience, I think, over at SAEM. A lot of it's resident heavy.
Yeah, very.
And
med student and residents.
And med students.
Different vibe from ASAP.
Yes. And even AAEM.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's cool. I think we've gotten a lot of residents come and talk to us about locums and asking a lot of the same questions, I feel like.
Yeah, well, what's shocking to me is the lack of knowledge around what locums can really offer you. And that makes me believe that it's most likely, these residents go into their training and then they're dealing with a, supervising physician. And that supervising physician is never a locum.
Yeah.
So the information that they're feeding them, what they're hearing from it's
very
the
biased.
medical matrix, basically, right?
Very biased.
Totally biased, yeah. So then it's like they come to us with these crazy ideas of what locums is. It's like, whoa, you got to really kind of deprogram and.
Well, it's interesting. I was just talking to somebody here, and I won't name them, but they're part of a hospital system. And she was telling me that they have a residency program, but they don't do anything to tell the residents about what kind of options exist outside of residency. They do a career talk, but they just really talk about how employment is there.
Yeah, W-2 stuff.
Yeah,
it's
like, want to keep them on site.
Real career.
They don't want them to get into anything else that would be, they want to try to feed themselves, which I get. But I was just telling her, and she's like, shouldn't we be telling them more, about what options are out there? And I was like, I had to explain to her, residents need to have the option to do whatever they want. Whether they want us to work with you, whether they want to work with someone else, whether they want to, not work at all. Give them the opportunity. They work to get here. So why are we controlling what they're doing after that? Or trying to guide them into a direction that we want them to for our own personal gain, right?
Right.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Exactly that.
This is the epitome of the medical matrix.
Yeah.
Right? You get plugged into a system, you go through your education, then you go into training, and then you do your residency, and you're just stuck in it, right? They teach you what they want you to know.
Yeah.
And then you become a battery for them.
Yeah.
So they're not really focused on the physician's wellness.
Yeah.
Burnout's a big deal.
Yeah, the burnouts.
Wellness is a funny term because actually a lot of doctors make fun of that term.
Yeah.
Because the wellness thing at a hospital is kind of like bringing pizza on a holiday.
Yeah.
Say, hey,
right.
or come at 6:30 a.m. for a yoga session before your for your shift, something like that.
The thing is, when you look at what is locum wellness, locum wellness is, play your cards right. You could pay off your debt in a year, buy a house in cash, and then on your days off, you're chilling on a beach.
Yeah.
Hanging with your family, living your life, travel.
Difference from that pizza party.
Yeah. We were having cigars last night, and we were getting fired up.
Oh yeah, man.
That'll happen.
Cigars right now.
Yeah. I got a few stogies.
Kicked out of the house.
Slide them up. Let's just slide them up.
Yep.
Let's see what happens.
What are they gonna do?
Until they throw us. Worst case scenario.
How big this guy is?
No one's throwing tea out. You got the gun show here, bro.
He's got actual guns here.
No, but we were getting fired up, and I guess we're passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
And I think that people, when they come to talk to us, kind of feel that aura, that vibe, that we're genuine about their well-being. And I tell them, look, I don't care if you work with us or not.
Totally.
My goal is not to get you to work with us, with the Locums United, the staffing company that we are a part of and blessed to be a part of and start. But it's just to educate you about what your options are. Now, if you choose to work with us, that's awesome. I'd love for that to happen.
Of course.
But if you choose to work with someone else, that's fine with me too.
No problem.
Right? My goal is to make sure that colleagues that I've worked with who gone through the same training that I've gone through have an opportunity to live life on their own terms because they haven't, bro, for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They've been completely they've done nothing. It's like the army for 10 years.
Yep.
They wake up at this time, go here, do this, eat with this, just 10 years straight.
Go to bed, rinse, repeat, start over again next day.
And they're almost guilted into being able to, if you're trying to seek something outside of that, it's kind of like, well, what's wrong? Why are you trying to do that? Are you better than us?
This is one path that you gotta
follow. You think you're better than us? Well, you're expected to stay in the matrix.
Yeah, exactly. You're a battery.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have you plugged in. It's interesting, as you mentioned, work for us or not. Locums United is one facet of the locum revolution, right? It's not about, like we don't have recruiters. We don't do any of that. We do things very different than the legacy locums do in the first place.
Yeah.
The message is to start a revolution, right? Like a de facto union, as you often say.
Right.
Right. Where we can get together and physicians can kind of unite around an idea and demand better. Yeah. Control the market. And I think that is one of the big reasons why they don't talk about this stuff. That's the last thing they want. I mean, of course they're not going to advertise.
They want the W-2 employees that they can kind of,
W-2 LOLs, man.
Well, and I think honestly, if some of these directors or people that are, directing these residents or, influencing these residents, they might just be ignorant to it. They might not know
they don't know either.
Because they grew up in that same system and haven't had, the light shed on them to know how great it could be.
And their data is 10, 15 plus years old.
Yeah,
so they're not
adequate
up to times with the what the locums market is now.
And they come from an era when communication wasn't as open as it is now. So
so much more
influencers and all of them. All the information is floating around. You can get it.
Yeah.
Online ChatGPT, you can do deep research and they'll find it for you. That definitely didn't exist when these instructors and seniors were around.
Yeah. One of the residents that came to us earlier, I think we recorded that, but like she's like, she follows EM Doc Jobs, the Facebook group where you can see there's about 16,000 EM docs on there and jobs are posted there regularly. Employment, jobs for employment, jobs for locum, things like that.
Oh.
And she's like, I kind of initially thought that it sounded too good to be true. She thought our job postings were kind of fake because she saw the rates that other hospitals were posting. And then she saw our rates. She's like, something's off. Like immediately there was pause. Like, okay, well, either these are not accurate rates that we're giving.
Yeah.
Or this is a big gap in which I need to really think about what do I want.
Yeah. Well, legacy company, one of the big, won't name names, but their goal.
I'll name names.
Edited
in post.
They want to.
They hit them up. We should do
F them up. We need to drop a disc track. We need to drop a disc track. I'm telling you.
F that boy with the.
I mean, there's a list.
There's a list.
There's a list.
It's crazy.
And you've worked with some of these companies,
coming to the industry, and which is why I ultimately, got this stuff done with you is because of I didn't feel ethically right about it. It's bill the hospital as much as possible, pay the doctor as little as possible, and that's just not right,
And why did they do that?
Well, their business. It's
also the recruiter gets a cut of the commission, right?
Their overhead's massive.
Overhead's massive. So they have no way. They have to pay their bills. And their bills are a lot higher than other.
And speaking of the legitimacy piece of it is really fascinating too, because I agree with you, especially, talking about the rates being higher, not only just for the W-2, which is obvious there's going to be a big gap there.
Yeah.
You don't know, you make a lot more as a locum, but at the same time, these other locum agencies aren't able to do it. And the reason for that is because they're big, bloated legacy locum bureaucracies. And they don't have, like, for example, we start Locums United. There's no recruiter.
No negotiation.
There's no negotiation. Best rate right out the gate. So of course it's going to shake up.
We'll
the
negotiate with the hospital to get a high bill rate.
But with the doctor.
Yeah, but the doctor's
because guys, when I started out, I got a job with the locums company that we won't name, but like their goal is to find an unsuspecting doctor who doesn't know their worth.
How can you take advantage?
How can I? No, like they're literally looking for the doctor who doesn't know their worth.
Yeah.
100%. And that was me.
That's most docs, I think, right out.
That's of course because you're out of residency. You don't really know.
You're paid what, 15 an hour as resident or something?
I mean, it's changed, right? And so the goal is to find that doctor who doesn't know their worth. Because guess what? Now they're already billing super high. They're paying me super low, and they get to keep a bigger chunk in the middle and make a good payday. Oftentimes, bro, they're making half as much per hour as the doctor who's working in the ER.
And this is
when I found that out, bro. I was livid. I was like, there's no way some recruiter in freaking Florida is making half as much as I'm making, busting my ass in the freaking ER day in, day out, getting spat at, getting swung at by drunk patients.
He's eating good, man.
I'm like, this is not happening.
Absolutely.
Right?
No.
Well, I mean, when you started Locums United, right, your reason for starting it in the first place was to get yourself and your friends high-paying jobs.
Yeah, transparency and high-paying jobs.
And what's funny is that really hasn't changed. All that's changed is you have more friends, right? Like you have a bigger group now that you pull from. So.
I mean, we're starting to gain a reputation in EM Doc Jobs, for example. Said so many people come up to us and talk to us like, hey, you post those jobs, the highest paying jobs in EM Docs. And I've got a lot of DMs and, you guys have seen them.
Yeah.
That's, hey man, really appreciate what you're doing for EM as a specialty.
I love seeing that stuff come through.
Like that.
Yeah. We're trying to bring the whole thing up.
I want us all to eat and have a good time.
Yeah. Well, I want to take the food out of the MSP's mouth. I want to take the food out of the recruiter's mouth.
Yeah.
I give it back where it belongs.
Yeah. I mean, doctors, it's time to reclaim autonomy and some control over our destiny.
Yeah.
we've given up too much for too long to then get the same thing once you graduated from residency. Like, what the heck, dude? Like, when I had that realization 2 years in, I'm like, something has to change today. Otherwise, 30 years are going to pass, and I'm going to look back and be like, damn, I regret that I didn't make the decisions I should have made. Right? I'd done something a little bit more risky. Maybe worked a little bit more locums and tried, starting a business or something. What if? Like, I don't want to have that sort of what if moment 30 years down the line. And then really that's what I'm trying to encourage and educate doctors about is like, think about your life, be intentional.
Yeah.
Whatever decision that you're making, whether it's employment, locums, whatever else, just be intentional about know how it's going to serve you now and how it's going to serve you 10, 15, 20 years down the line. Right.
Exactly.
Another thing I would say is for docs, just, having spoken with so many at this point, is like educate yourself and question everything and learn to kind of make your own opinions, right?
Yes.
Craft your own opinion, not just what everyone else regurgitates.
Don't let your attendings. Yeah.
Check everything.
Everything.
Check it all. Question everything. Yep. Because at the end of the day, once you know what options you have, it becomes a no-brainer. I hear a lot of the times, there's risk. There's so much risk in being a locum because I don't have the security. Well, then how many times have we seen contracts go, rates get lowered on W-2 docs. Now they're out of job or working for less.
Yep.
And they've been there for 10 years. That's what they're banking on is that where else are you going to go? You're going to stick around, right?
Yeah, then you got
locums, you have the freedom to go where you want.
Yeah.
You have the freedom that you could diversify your portfolio. Yep. You can work at a couple sites, a lot of things you can do. So I hear a lot of misinformation. So I think just a matter of questioning everything, seeking the right information. Well, I will say, information, not to boast too much about you, but it really wasn't there before you were putting it out. There's not a lot of raw data.
There's
some you got to dig for, but it's hard to find.
It's hard to find.
And that's what they're banking on.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know. Like you said, the doctor doesn't know his value or her value.
One thing that I've had a couple of academic docs. We talked about this earlier.
Yeah, a little bit.
That came in, I asked them, well, have you thought about doing locums? Well, they're like, I can't do that. I'm like, well, why? Well, between their 14 shifts a month, plus, 4 or 5 admin days that they're doing, education, stuff like that, they have no time for themselves. So what academics does is it basically pigeonholes you and you don't even have the option to do anything outside of that.
Yeah.
So not only are you in a cage, you're in a cage within the cage. You're like in, isolation. What's it called in jail?
Yeah. It's isolation. Yes. I've only been twice. So.
What do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Like where you're
in
the dungeon in the basement by yourself.
Mark, what's that called in jail when you're in like, if you're in jail, they put you in like the one cell. Solitary confinement. There you go.
There we go.
Hey, doing it.
Mark's like I've been memory out of my brain.
Late night, long days.
So solitary confinement.
Yeah.
I feel like academics is solitary confinement. Why anyone would want to go down the path where you're significantly underpaid, but guess what? I get to teach residents. Bro, you're sacrificing autonomy, a lot of time with your family, time to do things outside of mistakes. You can still teach. You can still be a contract teacher. You can do stuff like that. It's not like you're not obligated to be, part of that, sort of system in order to contribute to it, right? You can teach online. You can teach a course on social media. You can create a school course like we did for locums.
Yeah.
Like there's not one method to do this. And so people are always looking at the traditional way, right? As young doctors, especially that are graduating, a lot of them are residents here, need to look at alternate ways of contributing to the world. It's not the way that the world was 15 years ago is not the way that the world is now.
Agreed.
Right. And we need to sort of think beyond the way of, the only way I can teach people is through academics by giving my life away to a hospital system. Right.
Are academics, are they a necessary evil though? Like devil's advocate a little bit. You need people to instruct. Some people have to make that sacrifice.
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, not everybody's going to leave.
Right.
But I'm saying everyone needs to know the cost benefit of every decision that they make.
Sure. Absolutely.
And you can intentionally make that decision.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
As long as you're educating yourself.
As long as you're making a decision based on knowledge, then do whatever you wish. But don't, the thing that that we're trying to do is to at least educate people so that way they're making informed decisions about their life and their career.
Yeah.
And if you're not making, if hospitals and residency programs and these contract management groups are trying to shield information away from you so that way you make mistakes and not make uninformed decisions, that's shady.
Yeah. And I think once the education's out there, once you've taken the money, and that goes for everybody. Like this is a fundamental thing. You got to educate yourself. You have to question everything and you have to come to your own determinations. But with that said, kind of to your devil's advocate point, there are 2 types of people in the world in general, fixed mindsets and growth mindsets. And if you have that fixed mindset, you need that security. You don't think it is how you think it is. Yeah. It's never going to be anything different. Then, this isn't for you.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
Right? That's fine. That's where you go into academia.
As long as you know.
What you want to do. As long as you know. And for the growth mindset, those are the people that we're speaking to. Like at the end of the day, it might not be for you if you're a fixed mindset. Put.
Yeah. That's a very well put. And we see that when we talk to
immediately
residents, physicians, young attendings, things like that. There's some that are just like, I'm born for this.
Yeah.
Right? We saw a couple of those guys, doc coming through today, and then we saw some that were kind of lukewarm, not really sure, and they might be locums later on, but
might be lacking the education, or they might have a fixed mindset, whichever it is.
Right. Exactly.
But I guess the point that we're kind of trying to make is there's just not enough education about it. There's not enough knowledge. There's not enough, and so they don't know what they don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
And that's one of the things that the company we're pushing out there.
Exactly. Yeah. The company and also you. It's your passion, and you kind of spearheaded it, and we're happy to be a part of it. You literally wrote the book on it. But I think I've seen a lot of feedback on that at these conferences that they just didn't know.
Yeah.
So I think there's not a lot of people pushing it. My hope is that this revolution really continues to kick off.
Yeah.
Which is gaining a lot of momentum. It's a very exciting time. And we get a lot of this information out to people, because the misinformation, the things that I hear are just wild.
Yeah.
When it comes to
and like, just to kind of hit the point a little more, like 5 years ago, you weren't getting people asking you to speak at conferences. Now you spoke at AAEM, you're speaking in Salt Lake.
Residency program.
25. Yeah. Talking residency program. Yeah. Talking at conferences.
Times are changing.
Times are changing. I think there's acceptance is increasing amongst even like hospital systems now. And they're seeing this. I mean, a large hospital system that's, again, I won't name, the director of the entire emergency department for all the systems, hospitals, was telling me that he is also noticing a pretty significant increase in locum tenens as a primary career option for the residents that go through their program afterwards.
Which is great.
And so
it's a movement, there's a change.
Yeah. They're starting to value things like, how many times did we hear today? I want to value my time. I want to do things like travel after, right?
Everyone.
We got a doctor who wants to do global medicine.
Life back.
I want to get my life back. I want to start doing my hobbies again, right? It's, they want to reconnect with themselves, reconnect with their loved ones. Because you have to basically say bye to everyone for about 10 years. And every now and then maybe say hi. But now you can finally get a chance to do that.
And that's the thing, is the 10 years of programming, right? The 10 years that they really are setting you up for the medical matrix. And you forget who you are. You get disconnected from yourself because you're so in the grind and you're so occupied. It's very, very difficult, I think, for most people to even realize that they're plugged in.
Yes.
Right? So they're 10 years deep and they're like, this is now life. It's normal.
Yes. Because everyone else is doing it.
Because everyone else is putting up with it.
It's hard.
Everybody else is shaking, rocking the boat. Like, this is how it is. I went to school to do it. Like, and then when the idea comes around that, there's another way.
There's skepticism.
There's skepticism or excitement.
Or excitement, depending on
those people are very, they're already primed for it, naturally born. They just rolled. Like we had, Dr. DeSlucius.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's a big success story with us.
A lot of the docs that work with us, I asked them, hey, well, are there any resident colleagues of yours interested? And oftentimes I hear, no, they're all kind of taking full-time jobs and they think I'm the crazy ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait a second.
Now, I mean, come on. I mean, I guess it hasn't become mainstream yet, and that's part of what we're trying to do, is to make locums career as not only as a viable option, but as the optimal option as of practice for emergency physicians. Because honestly, if you're an emergency medicine resident, the only way to reclaim your freedom and autonomy, the only way, is through locum tenens.
I don't see another option.
There's no other way. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in the medical matrix. And the sooner you get out, the sooner you're going to realize you can actually finally live a life on your own terms. Because otherwise, you're going to have regret. 30 years down the line, you're going to look back and be like, dude, what the hell did I just do with the last 30 years? Because, bro, once you get into automation, this is what happens. You graduate residency, you get your full-time job, right? You buy a house, inevitably. That's the first thing. Maybe you have a family, you buy a nice car, you have a kid, great. 2 kids, perfect. You work at your W-2 job. And you're so busy now, and the paychecks are coming in, but like, you don't have the ability to now start to get out of this. Because now it seems as risky.
Yeah.
To now getting out of this sort of comfort zone of like, okay, I'm getting a steady paycheck, even though I'm paying 6-figure in taxes, is stable enough to maintain my current lifestyle. So now to go and do something outside of this, or to try locums and maybe just do full time, is like a crazy idea, because maybe this is going to be compromised.
Sure.
So now you're stuck in it, unless you just take a bold move and be like, you know what? No, I'm gonna do me.
You're gonna be okay.
you're
Still a doctor.
going to be fine.
Right? Like,
You're an emergency physician, dude. The supply demand tension is massively in our favor as physicians. So don't let these other hospitals or like, your attendings or someone else tell you otherwise.
if something happens,
You're the hot commodity.
Yeah. Look
right?
at the camera and tell them. Exactly.
Yeah, you are the hot commodity.
going right in that camera.
You're the hot commodity and everyone is chasing you. So they need you more than you need them.
Again, go back to knowing your worth.
Know your worth. That's key. Is just know what you're able to bring. And a resident asked me, like, what should I be looking for? I said, look, don't take anything less than $300 an hour. And then another one asked me, well, what's the difference in salary for a locum and a W-2 employee? So I kind of just broke down my talk that I did at AAEM about the difference of like, okay, you make $350 average salary as a W-2, as an EM doc, and then you make and then,
Pardon us.
yeah. Maybe we could put that over there so no one walks through.
Nah, forget it. Let them walk.
All right.
That was only one. Yeah.
We'll just keep looking at the camera. The audience will get it.
Well, you make $350,000 as a EM attending, as a W-2. You can make $500K working the same number of hours as a locum doctor, as an EM, 140 hours each. Over the course of a year, that's $150,000 extra. Over the course of 10 years, it's $1.5 million. Over the course of 20 years, granted that you're working full time still, it's $3 million. Right?
Unbelievable.
So,
well, not even to talk about the tax.
not to mention the massive difference in tax.
Yep.
It's not about just making more. A very important
Keeping more.
Keeping more of what you earn.
Yep.
See, you were bringing that up yesterday, right?
Yeah.
It's me, but it's cool.
Well, I mean, we all talked about it.
Yeah, well.
It was your point?
Now rolling. Yeah.
He had so many other good points that I thought it just came from him, so it's all good. No, but the point
is, you're making more, right?
not only making more,
Keeping more and keeping more of what
keeping more.
That's a double whammy, right? It's like a compounding effect.
As long as the outcome's income, you know.
It's like
As long as the outcome is income, that's another. Where'd you learn that one?
because like so many doctors on these, again, EM doc jobs and EM docs, they will post, hey, I just pay like 6-figure in my taxes. That's like normal. You pay 6-figure taxes.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I did that.
Yeah.
I don't remember. And I make significantly more than the W-2 guys that are working their hours. It's like, well, like,
I mean,
why do you devalue yourself so much?
Exactly. Well, I'm like, it's not, I mean, that is a point you're bringing up is you need to have like a tax strategist. You need to have a CPA.
Absolutely.
You know, like, and that's one of the hurdles I think that we hear a lot is people like, well, I don't know, like benefits and retirement and insurance. And those are the things that you need, but it's really simple to get that set up.
What are the three things that I tell people if you want to know anything now, anything?
Oh my gosh.
There's 3 sources that you can go to that you'll get your answer. It's ChatGPT, YouTube, and last, Google.
Google, yeah, we're safe.
And Google's on its way out.
So if you can't figure out quickly, like within a couple hours, I mean, if you really want to do a deep dive, I'm saying,
absolutely,
you can have a pretty solid understanding of how to get your tax. You literally have to put it.
There's no excuses.
You just literally have to put it in ChatGPT.
Yeah.
This is my scenario. I'm a 3rd-year resident. I'm about to graduate in 6 months. Okay. Put this into your ChatGPT prompt. I want to do locums, but I'm worried about doing, about getting my benefits. How do I get, my health insurance in the state that I live in? How do I get, my retirement benefits taken care of? How do I find a good, tax advisor and an accountant in my area, with good ratings and who knows how to optimize my income?
Yeah.
I hear the benefits thing all the time. And what's so surprising to me is they're like, oh, but I get benefits as a W-2.
You're way better off.
Spoiler warning.
What's it called? Golden handcuffs?
Golden handcuffs. But it's not even.
Not even golden.
Spoiler warning.
They're like terrible benefits, bro.
If you get your benefits, it's 100% tax write-off. The premium, all of it goes into tax. So,
well, you do the math.
CPA, but
you do the math on a W-2 hourly and the benefits they get versus a 1099. Yeah. The difference in hourly for a 1099 easily covers the benefits you're getting as a W-2 plus a lot of it's
deductible from taxes as well.
Check it out.
I mean, none of us are CPAs, but
we're not giving financial advice, guys, again, but this is something you need to talk to your financial advisor about. Don't make this mistake, right? I mean, just do the math.
Do the math.
Let me put it like this. Whatever doubt is in your mind, I haven't heard a single doubt that's legitimate. I haven't heard one.
Well,
in fact, here's a check.
Let me say this.
Here's down to you. Give me one that's a genuine negative.
I'm doing locums?
Yeah, genuine.
Well, I'll tell you. Huh? People oftentimes say that I don't want to travel away, and that can be seen as a negative. Like Look, what I say is this.
That's a personal
What
preference.
I say is this. Look, there's no perfect scenario in life. You're always, no matter what you choose, there's always going to be a cost benefit to everything. When you choose your employee job, you're giving up freedom and you're giving up the ability to prioritize your life. Just know that. That's fine. If you want to keep it, just do it. If you're doing locums, you're prioritizing your life first and you're maximizing your income. And well, guess what? Because of that, you might have to travel a couple times a month, right?
Yeah.
We have, how many moms do we have that work with us? We have a mom that has 5 kids. She is transitioning out of her full-time job and doing locums now so she can continue to build her real estate empire.
She ends up seeing her children more. She works less.
Quality time, bro. Guess what? When she goes...
Quality and quantity in this case.
She gets to... So between shifts, she gets to go to a hotel and actively recharge instead of going back home and being expected to be on between shifts.
A very good point.
Yeah. No one outside of EM gets what we go through. Yeah. How hard the freaking job is. And we need that time between shifts to just unwind, veg, relax, just sleep. Yeah. Really.
But at the same time, your negative, I'm going to pick your brain on this.
Yeah.
Your negative is just a personal preference. There's some people who don't want to try. Okay, locums isn't for everybody. But I want to know a negative for someone who's interested in locums, who understands what it is, understands that travel is.
I guess you're asking like, who's locums not for?
What's a number? Like, what's an actual, like, we can't compete with the W-2 on this.
Yeah. Can you think of anything? I'm legitimately like trying to think.
I'm grilling it. Right? Like,
I'm trying to think. He might have stumped me on this one.
Yeah, I don't think there's a.
What's the downside?
Apples to apples.
Like, well, this is what I hear from people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same
thing that people have. Like their hangups are again. They're the same stuff.
Same stuff that we preference, but none of them are negatives.
But none of them are
or lack of knowledge. Like, hey, how do you get benefits?
So they only exist because there's lack of knowledge on how to navigate.
Fundamentally, for someone who knows the game, where is the negative to doing locums?
Well, you know what's funny? We work with a lot of hospital systems and all that. And they, or if we're negotiating with a new client, hospital system, they ask us what our buyout is. And we're like, sure. I mean, whatever you want. I mean, I don't care.
Put it in the contract.
Put it in the contract. It's very low compared to other companies. But I'm like, listen, don't worry. None of our docs are going to end up working for you full time. Never. Because it just doesn't happen. In the last, have we had anybody?
One, and as a PA.
Was it a PA?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We had one in the last 10 years. It was a physician assistant, great PA, but they found a job that worked locums with us. They found that was very close to their house and it worked better for them. Cool. Out of the last 10 years, out of the hundreds of doctors and PAs that we placed,
it's insane.
It's one.
That's a unique situation too.
Because the thing is, it was perfect. Oh. The biggest regret doctors who come into locums later on in their career is that they didn't do it sooner. They're like, why did I do this earlier?
They don't realize it's a career path. I think there's a lot of thought around locums as this like temporary doctor who can't get a job somewhere else. Or
that's an old school mentality.
It's the entrepreneurial doctor, the entrepreneurial physician, right?
The go-getter, the entrepreneur.
The go-getter who wants to build their own. You know, a salary is the greatest drug they give you to dissolve.
It's a sedative. It's a sedative. Yep. It's a lifelong sedative. Here, go to sleep.
Yep, go to sleep. Yep.
Autopilot.
Yep, take your medicine.
Yeah.
But if you really want to get the most out of life, you want to squeeze everything out of it. Everybody knows. Everyone's trying to, especially this day and age, it's all about entrepreneurial mindset. There's an option for physicians. And that I didn't even know before I got into this whole industry. That blew my mind. I didn't realize there's a way for physicians to be entrepreneurs, to build their brand like you've done. You built a personal brand around it, which built you a staffing company, coursework, and you're able to help so many people, so many physicians, and you're mentoring. I know at least 50 off the top of my head that you're personally mentoring and getting them across the finish line. This all happened because you had the flexibility.
Bro, I've made mistakes worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, at least $200K, because I didn't know what I was doing when I started off. Like just finding the right job, making sure you're not getting underpaid, maximizing your travel benefits alone. I spent 5 years, the first part of my career, not knowing how to maximize and optimize my travel, like credit card rewards and all that. Yeah. And I sacrificed over about $100K in just travel benefits, bro.
Yeah.
Yep.
In 5 years. Imagine. That's not even the income. Imagine you're stuck in a W-2 job for that long, or a low-paying locum job with like ex-locum company that starts you off and you didn't know, at the low rate, you didn't know that you were worth a lot more than that. Right. So my goal is to really just to help guide people through this and make sure they're not making the same mistakes that I made coming out. I mean, for example, some docs already get it. What that one doc who's here is like, yo, I want to pay off my debt. I want to work like a resident for 1 year.
Yeah, that's a winner.
Do 1 year out of residency. Some people say, oh, that's too much. You shouldn't work like 20. Well, you freaking worked it for 3 years or 4 if you're in a 4-year program.
Yep.
So just do 1 more year. It's like a fellowship where you're getting paid a ton. You pay off your entire debt. Example, my cousin.
Yeah.
He worked 1 year, just a year or two out of residency and just, worked as a resident, paid off all his student debt, bought a house on cash, and now he's debt free. Done.
Son.
Millionaire. Can work as much as he wants. He could take months off at a time if he wants. Like, I mean, you get to control your destiny.
And isn't this what you work hard for?
That's what we work for.
But the medical matrix, 10 years of programming makes you forget that. That's your big point about reconnecting with yourself is a big deal. Really big.
I mean, look, you lose yourself. You literally lose who you are because you have to conform to like a certain path and you don't have much time for expressing yourself or creativity or anything else like that. You're just
become a battery for the medical.
You have to become a battery essentially, right? And so I mean, a couple of residents that came to us and even Dr. Patel. She was like, I want to rediscover myself. I want to do some travel medicine now. Like, I want to do some hobbies. Maybe I like playing, I don't know, the violin or something.
She didn't even know.
She didn't know. She didn't know.
Figure it out. She might be the greatest violinist to ever
know.
She has to pick up the violin to find out. And if you don't get the opportunity or you don't chase it, and you can't.
And you don't get that opportunity, you don't get sustained periods of time off, guys. As a W-2, it just doesn't exist. I took a month off. I've said this like 10 times today already. So I took a month off in March. I'm taking a month off in June. And I'm taking a month off in December to travel to Dubai. I'm in California for a month in June.
From the clinical practice.
Clinical practice. Obviously, I'm working full-time months. I still work.
Things because you're remote, because you're you can do all these other businesses.
Guys,
imagine.
But let me just finish that point. Is that I could never do that if I was a W-2 employee. And guess how many people I had to get permission from? How many directors I had to get approval from PTO in order to like beg people, can you trade shifts with me, please? Zero.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was saying, can you imagine? And who wants to be like, hey, boss, can I please take a week off to see my family?
Bro.
No.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Guess what? Because 3 other people asked for the same time off and you're the third one. Well, sorry, we can't give it to you.
So you're off.
So now you have to work that holiday. Guess how many holidays?
Want to go to my kid's graduation, please, boss? No. What are you going to do?
Guess how many holidays I have to work now?
Zero.
And if you do, time and a half, maybe.
I used to do a lot of holidays just because I get paid a good time and a half.
Because the company, ultimately, the hospital is going into a business arrangement for you as a physician as your own business entity.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not your boss.
They're not your boss.
Probably
you are your own boss. If you're tired of getting pushed around, like, look, during residency, medical school, you needed a mentor, you needed a boss to help guide you through that sort of arduous journey. But now you want to be in control. Otherwise, guys, you don't live a life of regret. Don't look back and say, what if? Start taking control. Start being informed about what your options are now. You don't want to do it when you're 5-10 years down the line, because then that's 5-10 years that you're behind.
Yep.
That's income that of like, hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're probably, going to be sacrificing if you don't do it right. So yeah. What else, boys?
Man. Yeah. W2 LOL. I just don't get it. I'll never understand it. I don't know. Someone was with that, bro.
No, who was it? Someone was like recently like, so it was our friend Francis yesterday. So he's like, wait a minute. We had dinner with a friend, Francis, good friend of mine. Shout out Francis. And so we were having dinner. We were telling him why we're here. He's like, so explain to me, like, why don't all doctors work locums?
Great question. Yeah. You tell me.
Unprompted.
He was just thinking like, why don't all doctors do this? Like, I don't know.
Good question.
It's just ignorance, really. I mean, so, I think once you lay all out in front of you, then look, again, you make your informed decision. If the site close to you, is where you want to be and your family's right there and all that stuff, I get it. Yeah. Right. But you can also still pick up some shifts on the side. Yep. Yeah. Worst case scenario, you're making like 30 to 50 plus grand a year.
And you're going to make the jump. I mean, if you don't, then I don't know what to tell you. It's up to you. It is what it is. Yeah. But try it out. Take a couple.
But listen, maybe you're the doc that doesn't like freedom. Maybe you hate money. Maybe you don't like autonomy, man. Maybe you like being told what to do.
You hate money.
You know what? If you're one of those doctors, locums is not for you. Don't do it. But if you want to have live a life of freedom and live on your own terms, there's no better path. It's not independent groups. It's not freaking CMGs. Shout out CMG over there. It's not the W-2 LOL employment that you're going to be doing. And there's no such thing as private practice for EM. And you can start your own business. You can do like a spa, med spa, whatever. You should definitely do that if you want to do that. But guess what? It's going to give you leverage to do that. Locums. Because then you get sustained periods of time off where you can actually build. Yeah. Bro, like I said, I mean, I would never be able to build a business that we have now, an 8-figure business, if I was working full time. Impossible. And people think, oh, well, did you have a business background? I didn't know what the word equity meant, bro. when we started the company. I legit didn't know what the return on equity was.
I've learned this a lot of docs, yeah.
Because we don't know, that's not what we're, we just don't have, unless you have that background going in.
Yeah.
You're not going to learn that in
Where do you learn
med school or residency.
You're too busy.
You're just trying to get the pathophysiology, the treatments, and like protocol, all that stuff. You're learning medicine.
Yeah.
So really important to just understand like that there's, just a little bit of financial literacy and knowledge.
Yeah.
Can help you really transform your career to one that serves you instead of you serving something and not getting what you want out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Just imagine being like, how could anyone imagine being a W-2 LOL? Like, imagine that. I can't.
I'll tell you.
I'm not even a W-2. We're part of the company. We have our own rights. We run our own.
You know what's funny? I'll tell you a funny story. During COVID hit and the locum industry just went to just tanked completely. Yeah. Volumes in the ER dropped. No one was going to the ER because they were scared
too, right? Everything did.
Everything did. But locums especially, like W2 docs, they had to keep them there. Some of them, they reduced their income and so on, like their, whatever. But locums, they basically shut out locums completely. And the vast majority around the country, right? So me and my cousin, who's also, with Locums United, we were working in locums at a couple of different hospitals, still working a couple of shifts. And, they offered to give us like a full-time job. And there was a period of time where I had 4 months of zero income because no one was like, I didn't have work during those times. And I remember telling my cousin that like, hey, we should, you should take this job. I knew I wasn't going to take it. Like, there's no way I will literally change freaking my whole career path to like, I don't know, I'll drive Uber.
Yeah. As long as you're your own
I'll drive Uber. I'm not going back into the hospital being told what to do. I'm like, listen, bro, I think you should take it because it's, close to home for you. And it's like, maybe a good fit. He's like, nah, bro, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Right. So once you taste freedom, it's like a bird that flies out of a cage. Do you think it was going to fly back in? Rumi has a great quote, and I'll end with this. The cage is wide open. Why do you choose to remain in prison?
Yeah.
And with that, we'll end, guys.
Yeah, I like it.